Yo YouTube! This is my video for Friday the 19th of April, which is today. So let me run through what I've done work-wise, and then a couple of other little things will come up as they come up, which I will share with you. So last night I was tramping out on the road outside my drop-off point. I got there about, I got off site about 6:10, and I was looking for another job. I was in Blackburn, and there wasn't really anything close to me. There was plenty of work coming out of Manchester at that time. That was about 45 minutes away. So I'd bid on a few things, but after about half an hour or so, 40 minutes, I wasn't really feeling it. And so I thought I'd tramp out there. So I found just a bit further down the road, it's a bit flatter, so I parked up there. There's no yellow lines, it was nice and quiet, and I parked up and to tramp. And when I opened my side door, I heard a clank, ringing clink, and then I looked down and saw a 6-inch screwed threaded rod, and I immediately thought, that's come off the item I've just delivered in the warehouse. Now by this point it was about 7 o'clock, so there was no one there. I knew they had all left, so I realised at this point I'd have to go back in the morning to return that item. So I was a bit disappointed because that meant I couldn't have an early start, because I'll get an early job. Anyway, I put myself in bed, went to bed, slept really well until about 6 o'clock. It was really nice and warm, and it was quiet, and as I said, it was level. And then I sort of woke up, and for some reason, I haven't done this before, I couldn't really breathe very well. I had to think about breathing. It was really uncomfortable. There wasn't any sort of tightness or anything. The closest I can think of it is probably what it's like to hyperventilate, or to begin to hyperventilate. And I've never done it before, and it was quite unpleasant. I had to think about breathing in and out. So I don't think it was a physical thing. I think it might have been a psychosomatic thing. But anyway, so it made sure that meant I did end up waking up quite early. I got out of my bed, got packed away, and I was ready to deliver by about 7:10. So I thought I'd risk it, pop back and see if the gate was open, and it was. And so there was a couple of cars in the car park. I went in, took this rod with me. There was no one in goods in, but there was somebody in the office just chatting with each other. So I passed that to them, explained the situation, and they said they'd pass it on to the people in the warehouse. So that was excellent. I got off site, back in my van. It's 7:15, and I was bidding on jobs. Now, at this point, I needed to go to the toilet as well. So I was bidding on jobs, and I had a job. There's loads of options for me, and there was one going from Blackburn to Leeds. There was another one from Preston to Wolverhampton, and I put a bid on the Preston one to Wolverhampton, which would have been ideal for me. It was a really good area. It was a nice paying job. They're both long wheelbase jobs. Then I got a call, offered me the job for the shorter one, the Blackburn to Leeds. And would you believe it? It was with the same shipper that was messing me about on Wednesday. The shipper that I'd vowed on Wednesday never to work for again, and who I'd worked for on Thursday, and who I have worked out that I can't just block because I need the work. So they offered me the job, £60 for a long wheelbase job, going about 40 miles. I can't remember. So I accepted it, and then I was going about cancelling the other jobs that I'd bid on. There's about 5 or 6 outstanding bids, and about a minute later I got a call back from the same lady saying that when she'd given me the job, one of her colleagues had been giving a job to someone else at the same time, and so she was cancelling my job. So it's like every time I have dealings with this company, they mess me about. And my only thought was, I bet that the job that they've given to was less than mine, paying less than mine. I bet there's no way they would have cancelled me if I was cheaper. So whether it was deliberate or just literally accidental, I'm never going to know. But I don't feel good about that cancellation. And also, obviously, I was then back to square one with sort of finding jobs. Anyway, I did actually get a job, and it was a job that I bid on quite low. It was a small van job, 48 loaded miles, pick up in Preston, dropping off in Blackburn and then in Ashton by Manchester. So I put £50 on that, and my thinking was, it gets me going, it gets me moving, which is always good. It gets me to Manchester where all the work is, away from Blackburn where it wasn't at that moment. So I accepted the job and made my way to Preston. It was about 15 miles away, the pickup, about 35 minutes to get there. And I got that call at 8:46. So at 9:26 I had arrived and got loaded up and was heading off again, heading off to Blackburn. So just a few boxes. They were quite heavy, but there was just a few boxes. And the first delivery, I managed to get there in Blackburn by travelling over some really nice countryside roads and coming over some hills into Blackburn rather than on a road. And it was 10:22 when I arrived, and it was off site. And then the second stop near Manchester, Ashton, near Manchester, I finished at 11:20. The notes on the job say they pay same day when you send the invoice, so that's quite good as well. So now I was near to Manchester where all the work was, and it was 11:20, so I felt like things were going to go well. I was bidding on jobs, and then at 11:44 I got offered a job collecting in Glossop, delivering in Lincoln. There's a bit of a story around this one as well. So, as I said, it's 11:44, and when I got the call, when I put the bid in, I estimated my pickup time to be half an hour when I put the bid in. So when I then got the call, I got the proper postcode, put it into Google Maps, and then I saw it's in 26 minutes. So I said to the guy, he asked me how long will it be? I said it's going to be half an hour. And so he said to me, oh, so does that mean you'll be there at 12:15? And I said, yes, that is correct. That's when I'll be there. So we all knew the time that I was due to be at the pickup point. That was 12:15. So I made my way immediately to Glossop, and at 10:12 I got a phone call from a different person from that shipper asking me my ETA. So I thought it was a bit strange because I am tracked, and I wondered why they were checking, because I wasn't late at all. So I said to them, I remember exactly the time, it was 6 minutes. So I told him it was 6 minutes to get there, according to Google Maps, and he was fine with that and hung up the phone. The postcode that I was given to go to this place took me to a road that was a dead end, and I had to go around along some side streets onto the main high street and back up to get around this dead end, because the actual pickup point was beyond the dead end of the postcoded road. So by the time I did arrive, that was an extra couple of minutes, it was 17 minutes past 12. So I arrived, we got loaded up with 2 pallets, I shut them down, there was no paperwork, so just as I was about to leave, the guy that was loading me up, very friendly, wasn't any aggression in it, said, was it busy on the way here then? And here I was thinking, oh wow, you have to be a bit careful here what you say and don't say. So I didn't want to just ignore his question, but I didn't know what he'd been told. And I know what I had told the shipper, I know what the shipper had told me, I don't know what the customer had been told. So I said to him, oh, what time were you expecting me to be here? And he said 12 o'clock. So I said, oh, well, from where I was, I couldn't have got here any earlier. There was a bit of traffic, but it wasn't that bad. And then I made my way away. And the reason why he wanted to check, it wasn't because he was being anxious about me arriving, it's about me delivering on time, because he said, are you aware they close at 3 o'clock? So there was a note on the system which I was aware of, But it wasn't until I put the sat nav in that when I picked up, that I knew what time I was going to arrive. And when I did that, the time of my arrival was 2:46. So I had 14 minutes spare, as it were, to get to the drop-off location. So close, but at least the right side of close. So I immediately set off from Glossop towards Lincoln. This took me over the Peak District. I finally worked out the name of the reservoir. I think it's Woodhead Reservoir. It's a lovely road. My journey from Glossop to that reservoir was along winding country roads, quite bendy, couldn't go that quickly. But by the time I got to the main A road, after I got over the Pennines, I was still on target. It was 2:45. In fact, actually, I might have made about 2 or 3 minutes. It's more like 2:43, 42 by the time I got over the Pennines. And I knew that I was onto A roads, and I thought I'd be fine to get there on time. But I wasn't dawdling. I was going at the speed limit and as safe as I could. The problem with when you got 2 big pallets on board, you can't just rush around the countryside. You got to be really careful because they could move, or even when they're shut down, you have to be careful with them. So there is a limit to the speed you can go at. So Google Maps might say it's an hour and a half, but that's assuming you can go at the maximum speed limit, and that isn't always the case when you've got 2 pallets on board. So I was keeping a close sky on the time and making my way towards Lincoln. I got onto the A roads, then onto the A1M, and it was all fine until I got just before Newark, and then my sat nav went orange, showing me some delays. And it was just at the junction that Newark I was meant to come off at. So I had a quick look at the map. I saw that I could go to the next junction. I could save a couple of minutes. So I did that. And then once I got past that Newark sort of congestion, it was plain sailing from that point. It wasn't actually Lincoln I was going to. I was going to a village to the east of Lincoln. And I arrived on site at exactly 2:45. Now, I went to the goods inn, there was no one there. I went to reception, they let me in. They weren't expecting any deliveries. So I just showed them a picture of what I've got. I had no paperwork to give them. I showed them where I'd come from. And so the receptionist sort of spoke to the goods inn and said, "We will take these off you. They're probably bottle caps or something." So I was very grateful that they did take that load. I went round to the other goods inn that was open, and then didn't have to wait very long. The forklift driver came out, very friendly, took the load off, and he said, "How's your day going?" I said, "Oh, I'm really pleased I got here in time. You close at 3, don't you?" He said, "No, we close at 4. So all that stress that I was experiencing, it wasn't as bad as the other days, but it was unnecessary. I don't really blame anyone for it, because the shipper was probably told it was 3 o'clock. The person I was picking up from definitely thought it was at 3 o'clock, was the latest point. I'm guessing the person that was receiving the goods tells their customers 3 o'clock as a way of sort of having a bit of leeway in case people push it too late. But I was there with an hour and a quarter spare in the end. So yeah, so I got that. To tell the cost. So for that job, it was a 84 loaded miles, and it did say it was for a long wheelbase van, although it was only 2 pallets, so it could have been done on a medium wheelbase van. And it said pays £100, which is what I would have bid anyway. So I got £100 for this job, and it was 7 dead miles to get to it, 26 minutes, as I said, to get to the pickup. So I'm now in a village outside of Lincoln. It's just gone 3 o'clock. It's about 5 to 3 actually, and looking for a job. And there was a job from Boston to West Beach. There was another job from Lincoln to Lincoln. There was a job that came up from somewhere else. I put bids on these. Didn't get them for about 10 minutes. The Boston to Wisbech job got reposted 2 or 3 times. I bid a second time and then didn't bother. And then I just thought, I'm so close to home now. Actually, it would do me no harm just to call it a day and get home early for once. I very rarely get home early. So this is what I'm doing. I'm now on my way home. My stats for this week are not very good. I will tell you what they are now. It's been quite a tumultuous week overall, and obviously each day is a new day, but each week is a new week. So I'm looking forward to next week having a better time. I've got a job booked in for Monday already with a guy that I've used a couple of times before. So I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that next week will be significantly better. So, stats for today. My new average fuel price for today was £16.11 per mile that I drive. I've only done 205 miles today. That was doing 2 CX jobs. 9 hours of work, so really quite a short day. £150, 150 I've earned gross. That was the £50 this morning to get myself effectively from Blackburn to Manchester. I did that via Preston. And then the £100 that I got was going from Glossop to Lincoln. I spent £33 and 3 pence on fuel, which means that after fuel I've only earned £117 today. So, the week then. For some reason, my spreadsheet's gone a bit AWOL, so I can't give you the amount of hours I've worked this week. So I have to take that and not give you those figures. But everything else is there. So, for my 5 days of work this week, I have driven 1,376 miles. 1376. I've earned £1,005 gross, and I've spent £277 and 51 pence on diesel. That means that after fuel costs to be taken into account, I've earned £777 this week. And my average amount earned per mile driven has gone down to 56 pence, 56.5 pence per mile. Right. So, plans for next week are as follows. I'm going to work Monday to Thursday. My van's going in to get its oil leak sorted out on Friday. I'm doing Friday without my van because I'm doing a little mini operation on Friday afternoon. And I do not know, to be sure, how will I be able to work next week, the week after that, I mean. So Thursday might be my last day working for a bit, or I might be back in the centre quite quickly. My guess is I'll probably be back Tuesday, Wednesday after the operation, but we shall see. The other thing I was going to say that came to mind, it was available for me to say this yesterday. There was so much going on yesterday that I left it to today. And it's a little thing that's gone wrong again, and I will share it with you because it's been frustrating, and I've finally worked out what was the reason. And for most of you, you'll never have to deal with this. So about 2 weeks ago, I was at home and I had to update Trusted because of my new address. So I sort of moved addresses. I haven't sold the house yet, but I've moved addresses. And I was just getting everything sorted out. I'd already, prior to that, updated HMRC and company's house with my new company details. So I was already sort of give Trusted my details. And it all went up fine, except for one point, which is the VAT. Now, not all of you are VAT registered, and so it might not ever, and not all of you are going to move house. So this is why it won't always apply to a lot of you. But when I want to do the VAT, it asked me to give my address, and I now know it's asking for the trading address. At the time, I thought it just meant my address, and the drop-down menu on Trusted just gave me houses in my old postcode. So I wasn't able to put an address in for my address. So because I was getting hassled with it and there's no way of calling them, I just so that I could get on with my day, get on with the work, I just took out the VAT number and completed my change of address status. So that went through fine. A Come yesterday, or the day before yesterday, in the evening, I was catching up with some invoices, and I noticed that they weren't charging VAT. And then I went back into Trusted, and I realised I hadn't yet put in the VAT back in. Now, I checked HMRC, and my address had been changed. I checked Company's House, and my address had been changed. So I really couldn't work out how to get the Trusted software to give me the right postcode, because you didn't get choice. It just automatically downloaded my own postcode. There is no way, and this is where it got really frustrating. There is no way of contacting Trusted through the app. You can't even do it with a ticket, an online ticket. There's no phone number, there's no email address, there's no text number. There's not even an automated bot that you can talk to. The best I can come up with is go to the website not signed in and just do a query as though I was not even part of Trusted. And I put a query in with all the details saying that I couldn't change my VAT number. I also put a ticket in with CX to say to them how can I redo my invoices now with VAT for the last 2 weeks. And to be fair, CX were quick. They always are quick with me. The following day, that was yesterday, I had a message saying from them that they can't change the invoices once they've been created, which I was disappointed about. And this was through a ticket response, through an email response. So I was then stuck. I couldn't contact Trusted, and CX couldn't help. So I sent a reply back to the CX ticket saying, this is the reason why I can't do it, because Trusted won't give me the right address for VAT. And good on them. The lady from CX then called me. I managed to express my frustrations to her about the whole software issue. And I did ask her one question. I said, can I confirm, is Trusted part of the Transport Exchange Group? It's part of CX. And she said, yes, it was, but that the only way you could do tickets is through the CX app. You couldn't do it through Trusted. So in the end, my tickets to CX was the way to resolve it, but there was no obvious way they don't tell you that, they don't make it clear. And my first CX response was just kind of brushed away with saying, well, we can't change it. Anyway, she's explained to me that when you look at the VAT online, it still has my old address. And I didn't understand this because I changed it all from HMRC and Company's House. So I went back into my personal government gateway, and that was where my VAT was for some reason, and it had my address changed, but it hadn't had my trading address changed on that bit. So I now realised that my VAT trading address was still my old address, and that was what Trusted was pulling out of the system. So I then went to make a change to that, but I noticed that the email address was a really old email address, like from years ago. So I changed the email address, submitted that, and then went to change my address. This is in the VAT Government Gateway. And of course, the Government Gateway rules are you can't make more than one change in a 2-day period. So I've now got to wait for 2 days to change my address, trading address. It's just, sometimes these things get really frustrating, dealing with these sort of things. They're faceless, bureaucratic systems, and you just want to talk to someone and say, this is a problem I've got, can you please sort it out? I'll do what I need to do, just tell me what to do and how to do it. So in all this experience, I would say that CX's customer service was the most helpful. Trusted was pointless. The VAT Government Gateway was awkward. And like I said, unless you move home, which most of you won't do, you'll never have this problem. And unless you, because I set up the the VAT like 3 or 4 years ago, I had no way of remembering that there's a difference between the trading address and my home address. But now I know, I suppose. But it's one of those things that you can only really learn by making the mistake and then remembering it. So I'll remember now that I need to go to my personal government gateway to change my trading address, which is not something you would think was intuitive. So anyway, the problem I now have is I've got about 10 invoices that have been created on CX without the VAT, and I'm going to need to talk to my accountant to know what I need to do about that, which is again more time and effort, which I don't really feel like doing. Right, if you are wondering why am I VAT registered or what VAT registered I am, because it might be a question that comes up in comments, so I will tell you about my VAT registration experience. Before I started being a same-day courier, I worked for a multi-drop driver for a large online retailer, and the way that they worked is you had to be set up as a self-employed business paying VAT. Whether, that was just the way they did it, and it's basically a tax and contract dodge. So I've had a VAT account, first of all as a sole trader and then as a limited company, for about 3 or 4 years. For most people who do this job, they don't tend to start off being VAT registered, and if they do, they tend to go flat rate scheme, not the full VAT scheme. I'm not going to change my scheme now. It took me a good year to change my VAT status from a sole trader to limited company, and that was a real nightmare when I started working for my other company. But luckily I got all the VAT back in the end. I couldn't claim any VAT for about a year, and I was quite concerned at the time whether I'd have to pay it and not claim it back, but in the end it all resolved itself. But yeah, VAT is, they're not quick with VAT queries, so I'm not going to change anything now. And obviously we all have our own approach to VAT. I quite like it being the full rate scheme, because it knows that I know that everything I buy I can claim the VAT back on. It just seems like a logical way of doing it. So that might answer preempt some questions that I might get. So yeah, that's it, I think. Thank you very much for listening to my video, and I'll see you Monday. Monday's job is quite good and has potential to be even better when I get to the other end, but we'll see. Okay, thank you. Farewell friends, have a great weekend.